This is the Farm Hop Life Men's Forum. Monday night. Tonight we're talking about what are we talking about? Mayor stuff. That's the title. And it's number 18, I think. Can't believe we've done this 18 times already. It's weird. And who do we have with us tonight?
We got Long Story.
All right. Yeah, Long Story Farms. So I'm going to stop video due to my living in the middle of nowhere, not having broadband. Little pork and a pastured pork and poultry farmer in South Carolina. And you can find us at the Old Barn Market on first and third Saturdays and Newberry Farmers Market whenever it's held here in South Carolina.
Nice. Thanks for being here, man. And who are you? Dude in the middle.
Yeah, this is Christopher Vidal with Secure Farm, and I'm also working with Secure Coop. And I'm working on the first product is a chicken coop door opener with phone notifications. And then I'm branching out from there into other farm security, farm backyard security, backyard automation, things like that.
Awesome.
Yep.
Let's do personal events. Jeffrey, you had a pretty awesome. Sorry, Long Story Farms. You had a pretty awesome personal event this weekend. Let's hear it.
Yeah. So I have brother-in-law and sister who are investors in a restaurant, and also my brother-in-law is a lawyer, and we had been talking about using their restaurant as a venue for a farm to table event. And he said, "Why don't we try it out with the law firm?" So he decided to host the staff of his law firm, and so we did a farm to table dinner, and we served a free 3-course meal, and it went really well. We featured 5 different local producers, including our own farm products. So we got Edie Acres from Chapin, South Carolina, Renegade Acre from Newberry, South Carolina, Enoree River Winery from Newberry, South Carolina, and Old McCaskill's Farm in Rembert, South Carolina, and Long Story Farms in Newberry, South Carolina. So kind of cool to feature 5 different local producers and serve a great meal, and the crowd really enjoyed it. And we're going to figure out how to do it again.
It must have been weird for you having like an old passion of yours, like being a chef, and your new passion of like, providing great food, and like those two things coming together and being able to do them both. Tell me about that. Was that awesome?
Yeah, it's cool. I didn't expect it to happen so quickly. We talked about potentially hosting events here or doing catering, from the farm, or having maybe events at the farm and that kind of stuff. And I thought it would happen 2 or 3 or 4 years from now. I didn't think it'd happen so soon. But the opportunity presented itself, and I still have the chops. Knife skills are a little rusty and things like that. I definitely made a lot of mistakes. I commented on that yesterday or day before, but
yeah,
I guess it's I don't want to sound too arrogant, but I know what it would be if it were perfect, and I get frustrated when I can't meet that standard. So, but other than that, it was great. Everyone loved it. We had rave reviews. We did duck breast that we raised. We did stuffed chicken breast with products that chickens that we raised, and we stuffed it with ham that we raised. And we did a pork chop, a bone-in chop from our farm, and the super high quality meats. And it was great. The restaurant's tiny, so it was a little bit of a challenge there logistically, but I think we've got a good foundation for figuring out how to get it right.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
I didn't know if you knew.
Oh, hold on a second.
Probably...
My mother is coming out to say hello. So.
Okay. Jeremy.
Sorry.
Jeremy, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and how do we know you?
How do you know? Well, Matt found me. My name's Jeremy. DeweyLikeDonuts on TikTok and Instagram. The name is kind of a fluke that just kind of happened, and it was a joke, and then it turned into something, and started my prepping and homesteading channel on TikTok, which is blown up. I'm still humbled by the fact that many people care to even have any care about what I think. So so it's been kind of cool. But Matt found me, and we did a podcast earlier, well, last week, and
Just a couple days ago, yeah.
yeah. In fact, I started listening to it the other day, and I was like, oh yeah, I need to put some of that on my TikTok page. So I'm trying to pick a few. Like, I mean, you don't have 2 hours on TikTok, so you got to pare it down to I think I finally got the hey, you can put 10 minutes, but nobody wants to watch a 10-minute TikTok.
Not usually. It's got to be pretty high level engaging. But
Yeah,
what's
it does.
So you got like a prepping and like homesteading channel on TikTok.
Prepping and homesteading. Yep.
What's a personal event within like the last, let's say, week that you're like, hell yeah, this was awesome?
Yeah, I was trying to think. We just started doing no electronic Sundays as a family, and it's been really great just to to unplug. We'll do games. We'll go. I think we actually went. I say no electronic. We went down and we shot a TikTok video at the creek 2 Sundays ago. So we were using electronics, but we were doing it as a family. And
was that your water filtration video?
It was. Yeah,
nice,
it was.
Yeah.
And Brock, my son, he's been dying to be in a TikTok video. And I was like, all right, let's do a water test, and you can test the water out of the Cahaba River. And he loved it. He thought it was great. And then we like this past Sunday. So within the last week, we went up to, there's a farm locally, and it's just a massive tomato farm. And so we picked, like we're lugging 5-gallon buckets of tomatoes. It's a U-pick, so we're lugging 5-gallon buckets of tomatoes home. I mean, we got tomatoes here, but not that many tomatoes.
Right.
And so now, of course, then yesterday and today we've been canning tomatoes. So I don't know, it's just fun just to do that as a family.
That's awesome, dude. Nice.
Definitely recommend the unplug. If you can pick a day out of the week to just unplug and spend some time together as a family, it's huge. Makes a big difference.
I'm gonna have to try that.
We were just talking about that over the weekend, actually. It's a cool idea.
Yeah, we like it. It was my wife's idea, and I went along with it, and I love it now. So it's definitely, I would recommend it. I did get my hand slapped a couple times. She looked at me. She said, "Put that down." My bad.
Sorry. Go ahead, Christopher.
Yeah, so I am at my parents' house. Surprised to find that learned on Friday that the surgeries that they've been trying to have. Mom needs a hip replacement. Dad needs a new knee replacement. Those surgeries that they've been trying to get for 3-4 years now, they finally got scheduled, and they both got scheduled within a week of each other. So
that's good, I guess.
Yeah, so we can get it out of the way. But I've got to think about this, and I said there is no way they don't have the kind of people that would be able to take them places and go around here. And I said, Mom, do you need me to come? And she said, yeah. So I bought tickets Friday late night, and surprised they weren't too expensive. Got on Allegiant Air and Amtrak to the trains to the airport, and somehow made it in one piece. So I am in southern Illinois down here with all the corn and the soy and watching the deer go by, and I'm loving it. It's a nice place to visit. I definitely am a Florida boy, but it is a great place to come and just hang out for a few weeks. So I love it here.
It is beautiful out there.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep.
On Saturday we went, and I guess a couple of quick things. We met the guy who's watching our property when we hit the road. We met him and his wife and his 2 kids. Because I've only really met him for a couple hours at a time, and then my wife really hasn't met him, and so she got to meet him and her and blah blah blah. And so she's like, okay, I feel a lot better about this whole thing after meeting both of them. Like, sweet. We took a look at a couple of our travel trailers, and we found one that we like. The price tag is more than we wanted to spend, but the monthly price is about where we want it to be. So it's spend 50 extra bucks a month to be more comfortable, being in a travel trailer full time.
Get you a show enough RV.
Do a what?
A show enough RV.
Show enough.
Yeah, cousin Eddie off Christmas.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah, so we're still looking into it. We haven't made a try to buy it yet or whatever. And then the last thing is today launched the t-shirt sale for to support. Like I got bit by the bug and went crazy. So that's available until the end of the week. And then
is it FarmHopLife shirts?
So I'm partnering with 5 people that I've interviewed over the last couple months, like things that they've said like on the podcast or whatever, and I turning it into a shirt. And so
nice.
You can buy this shirt starting today, and at Friday midnight, closing the orders, you cannot get this anymore. FarmHopLife.
It's like a pre-order type.
Yeah, it's print on demand. I could extend it,
right?
But you only get this much of a window to buy it. So that's it. I'm being a dick like that. And next week is going to be an entirely different shirt and blah blah blah. So
nice.
Yeah. Not sure I'll be available next week because I think we're going to be on vacation. I don't remember. I don't know when vacation starts.
It's Labor Day. Yep. Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Anyways, buy a shirt. Help support me, please. Thank you. Christopher ordered one.
Hey, Matt, is it
Yep. Long story.
Is it okay to ask about how the kid's doing?
Yeah, man. Lila came home from the hospital 2, 3 some time ago. It feels like we were in the NICU for 7 weeks and finally came home. And she's like the eating has been a struggle, but my wife went to like a lactation consultant last week and spent like 2 hours there and got like a bunch of helpful information. So like it's getting smoother as we go. So she's doing
cool, man.
She's doing awesome. She's so adorable. It like kills me every time. Like I just want to stare at you all time, like all day.
What number?
We got some. Sorry. We got some T-shirt designs coming too soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. My daughter's kind of a graphic artist, and she's worked on a couple. So I'll share those probably in the next couple weeks.
Sweet, dude. I'll be looking for that. That sounds pretty cool. It's interesting to get into, like it's something different.
Yeah, I have to compare some notes with you on there, figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah, ask any questions. I'm a total noob, but go ahead and ask any questions.
Cool.
We did the print on demand for a while, but then we ended up ordering inventory for our t-shirt business.
Oh yeah, how did that?
Yeah. It's good. I mean, I wear them all the time. I mean, just
sure, right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm on TikTok and stuff.
Yeah, basically it's literally all I wear is t-shirt. I mean, I work from home for my normal job, so I wear my t-shirts all. I mean, they're super comfortable, but we ended up switching to hiring a screen printer to print ours and holding inventory because it was just the quality was so much better. But we had a little bit of bad luck with print on demand, but I know a lot of people have great success with it. So
it's tricky. I wanted to go to a more well, I'll make this comment and then we can move on to the main subject. I wanted to go to a local shop, but the upfront cost was so high when I wasn't sure how many I was actually going to sell.
Yep.
And it's like, I am small fish. I have like, you 3 people here, like follow me. And that's about it. And so, yeah, there we go. Thanks. And so like, I'm not going to order 20 shirts and like get stuck with 19 shirts. So,
yeah, the print on demand is definitely the way to go when you're starting out.
Yeah. Yeah. Christopher, you're still muted. Okay.
There we go. Okay. Hey. No, since we're talking about shirts, I've got also got shirts and hats. I tried to come up with cute, funny ones. So I had some. I
Cute,
put
funny.
I put my store up during COVID, and so some people asked me to do some masks. So I've got one that says "Bad Science says I have to wear this."
Nice. Love it. Bad
Yeah.
sciences. I love this. Like it.
Out of date now, but I still got them up there. What the heck?
I don't know, man. Mask might save you from monkeypox. Can I say that? All right. So
marriage saves you from monkeypox.
Marriage, yeah, depends on the kind of marriage, I suppose. So Christopher, this was your idea of the marriage stuff. You picked. Can I ask why? Just like something on your mind?
Yeah, I just happened to be listening to the audio book called Boundaries in Marriage. So it was like fresh on my mind, and the topic. And you were saying, what do we talk about? I said, hey, let's talk about the thing I just been thinking about. And why not? It's relevant to men, and it's a struggle, and it's difficult sometimes. And there's a lot of things that we can learn about it for sure.
Like, anyone that says they have marriage figured out is lying.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Even like it reminds me of this. Like, does anybody remember Dane Cook? There was like this. He's a washed-up comedian now, so it's fine. He was like, there's this old guy, like, and his wife, they were both like in their 80s, and like he was like asked them to take their picture or whatever, and so he's like taking their picture, and old guy gives his wife like a big old kiss on the cheek, and she just like lights up, and he's like, hey man, like what's your secret? He's like, cheat. Like, that's not an answer. Do I keep cutting out?
You're cutting in and out.
Okay, well, pretend that same silence that I experienced, that's about appropriate for that Dane Cook joke. So I don't know. That's just that I don't know why that stuck with me. Is it's a dumb thing. I think, man. Did we touch on this last week, Christopher? Like, just tell that, like, what were we talking about? Like, telling the truth. Just like, man, is your lie so bad or your truth so bad that you'd rather tell a lie than tell the truth?
Was it last week?
That?
No, it wasn't last week.
Was it the
perseverance?
The learn to suffer?
Learn to suffer? Yeah.
Yeah. Open communication is what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not good at that. I'm definitely not good at that. I would much rather try to find a way to make it work without coming to the difficult conversation. And
why is that?
I guess because I have so little success with difficult conversations and so much success with negotiating circumstances. And that's works.
Sorry, that sounds funny.
Yeah, no, it works sometimes and it doesn't work a lot of times. So I got to have those conversations, and I don't. I just don't have to stop and avoid. There's people who are on the one hand, they're either they're prone to outbursts or they're prone to withdrawal, and I'm prone to withdrawal. You got people who are prone to get in your face and be outbursty and say what's on their mind, and they're not very good at being tactful. And then you got like somebody who like me who tends to withdraw, but I'm not good at getting into the situation when it needs it, and that's definitely a shortcoming of my character.
Sorry, I'm like trying to figure out how I want to phrase this question without like being like too personal.
Go for it.
Okay. Is that something like, how does your wife deal with that then? Like, how does she get you to unwithdraw?
She's also the same way.
Oh, that makes it interesting.
Y'all both just kind of back up and
yeah.
And,
what the hell do you two talk about?
Yeah, we actually don't talk all that much, and it's something I want to work on, something I want to improve on. I definitely,
Gotcha.
I find her thoughts to be interesting, but Yeah. To be frank and honest, we went through a lot of years of struggle and pain, and this has been the best year we've had.
Dude, nice.
Yeah. So, but good. We've been married almost 22 years, and most of that has been just a challenge. So, a lot of growth in myself. I had to learn to just, in a good way, withdraw, like shut up, instead of complaining. Just shut up and learn about boundaries. And so that book on boundaries is useful for me. It's the idea that I can't make her do things, but I can refuse to allow myself to be violated in certain ways, or I can refuse to go along in certain ways, or decline to go along. Okay, I'm not going to say you can do whatever you want to do, but here's what I'm going to do. If you do this, here's what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do, and you may or may not like it, and that's just tough. You have to hold to your boundaries like you would a fence to your yard. They say strong fences make good neighbors, and so that's the concept. Is saying, I love you enough to not
build
only
a fence with you.
Yeah, build a fence with you. Not only not allow you to control and run over my life, but also it works the other way as well, so that I know how to better hold myself to if she doesn't want something, then I have to respect her boundaries. So it's a healthy way of interacting with people, and I just really appreciate it.
Does anybody here know what empathic listening is?
I would assume listening with empathy.
Yes, very good. So we got a little help last year, and the big key for me was learning how to be empathetic and listening. Like, if you're gonna listen, like, this is how you listen. And when it's just been kind of interesting learning that process. Long story. What is it that you have to share about?
Well, I liked what Chris was saying about boundaries. I think one of the things that I hear a lot of people say about marriage is it should be unconditional love, and I think that we should have unconditional love for people in general, and especially for our spouse and our family. But to me, it's a complete fiction to assume that my wife can do anything at all anything at all, and it will not change our relationship. Kind of like what Chris was saying, you cannot, like, there are things that are deal breakers. And I feel like stating, kind of, this is my deal breaker, setting those boundaries, whatever it is, what you want to call it. I think that that's a healthy thing to think about, giving yourself the option of saying, hey, this is what I would consider a bridge too far in our relationship. I would still love you, but this is something I can't tolerate. I think that's something that we need to know. I guess the other comment I have is, I think there's this assumption when you're young and in love that you're going to figure out a way to agree on everything. And I think we learned early on to fight, to have a fight and be able to go, all right, that's it, fight's over. But we didn't really learn until very recently to stop assuming that the other believed the same thing or way that we did about whatever question, from the trivial to the very, very important. So those are kind of a couple of things I think I've learned over the years.
That makes a lot of sense, and that kind of ties into the empathic listening, where like the discussion is over once the person who brought up whatever subject is bothering them feels heard, like actually heard, not just like, yeah, I heard you. No, like, I heard you, until they feel like they've been heard and they have like no more to say. So, what about you, Jeremy? How long have you been married?
15 years in October.
Dang, dude, nice.
So we hit 15. I got married at a young age, 21. Yep, that would be 20. Yep, that would be 15 years ago. So my wife's a little bit older than I am, but we got married at a young age, and marriage is a struggle. It's a challenge. It is a long game, and you have to adapt along the way and call audibles and figure things out. And it's, let me see if I can fix this background noise.
Nope, we got it.
Is that any better?
It was long story side had the background noise.
That's fine. I'll put the headphones in anyway.
All right.
So
you sound great.
Perfect. But I can't do this. I can't do the headphones. It sounds weird.
Okay.
Sorry. But yeah, what was the question again?
I thought I just asked about how long you've been married, and you said 15 years.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. 15 years.
Yeah. You were saying that you were saying that she was a little older than you, and you were starting down the path there, talking about.
Oh yeah, just marriage is a challenge. It's a long game to play, and not to play it, but I mean you have to adapt along the way and learn each other, how each other communicate. Like Christopher was saying, communication's key. And one thing that a lot of men push back on, I believe, is counseling. And I pushed back on it for years. And a few years ago, we went to counseling. And one of the best things that we've ever done, because it helps both of us get an objective person's point of view on how we should communicate. And we've learned a lot through that. Me, for example, is like, I want to feel desired, but like I don't feel like there's any real desire, and I was made to understand that, well, you desire someone because of how they make you feel, right? Why? So it's on me that I don't feel desired. I need to step out and make her feel desired, and that's reciprocated to me. Stuff like that. I mean, stuff that you're not born with that knowledge. You've got to learn it. You've got to pick it up and communicate and see, how best to communicate with each other.
One thing you said that you have to adapt and change, and I know it's almost a cliche, but there's that saying that essentially you'll be in 5 or 6 different relationships in your life, and you'll be lucky if they're with the same person. You guys heard that before?
Yeah, I think you've mentioned that. Yeah.
So the way it was told to me, as a friend of mine said that he knew a Jewish woman whose family had lived through the Holocaust, and she was a psychologist, and he had this whole backstory about it. But he said that she had used that line that you would be in 7 or 8 serious relationships in your life, and you'd be lucky if it was with the same person. And I can definitely look back at our marriage. We've been married 26 years, almost 27. In December will be 27. And I can definitely segment it into at least 4 different relationship steps that were really profoundly different from each other, where for one reason or another, one of us had changed enough that it felt like a new relationship, And I think having the wisdom to kind of go, I think that's the unconditional part of the love. That is it. Like the willingness to say, okay, here's the new you. I'm willing to meet you where you are and reforge the relationship, the sense of connection and whatever. And we're still partners in this. But keeping those boundaries in mind, I think that's really the key.
Yeah,
but guys, because I want to stay married, I am going to have to drop off. But I really enjoyed it. I just want to jump on for a few minutes because I feel like it's an important topic, and I wanted to throw a few things out there. But appreciate you guys sharing some time with me today.
All right, long story.
Nice to meet you, Jeremy. All right, y'all take care.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, man.
See ya. Go ahead.
Okay, skinny.
Yeah, no, Jeremy, to counter what you were talking about counseling, I was actually the one that said, let's go to counseling.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that's fantastic.
Yeah, but the situation is opposite. We had just no when nobody ever got into the meat of it. And the last guy we saw, I don't say this about too many people, but he was an idiot. I mean, we spent a lot of money on this guy, and he's so bad that my sister, who works in mental health counseling, I told her about some of the things that he was saying and doing, and she said, "Oh my gosh, do you want me to help you to file an official complaint with the physician, with the some board?" And I said, "No, I didn't want it to come back on me, and it wasn't that relevant to me." But the guy would. I'm not going to even. I'll spare you the details. It was a real waste of time. And it was the last one, and we just kind of both looked at each other without really verbalizing it and said, "That's enough. We're just not getting anywhere with this." And I think if you have a good counselor and that they can really deep in, get into it, get past the superficial stuff, and understand really what's going on. We just couldn't find it, and we never got. Well, we saw probably 6, 7, 8 different people, and for various reasons, a lot of them quit on us. We never quit on one of them. Like one of them moved away, so it was a maddening and frustrating experience that never really seemed to bear any fruit.
I would venture to say that a good counselor will make you feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, none of them ever really made me feel uncomfortable.
It's all superficial, and a good counselor will make you sit on the couch and stare at each other and say awkward things to each other, just to make you talk about things that you wouldn't normally talk about.
Yeah.
And I remember me and my wife looking at each other, saying some things, and we just died laughing, and it like broke the ice. I was like, okay, we can laugh about this.
I know. I was telling you my experience, by the way, not to throw any cold water on people who might be considering it. I just wanted to share my experience, but the reality of that experience is that you can, counseling is not a panacea. You can try, and you sometimes don't get anywhere with it.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I used to work in the mental health insurance industry, and I'm not a counselor or anything like that, but I worked for a company that was a mental health. They focused strictly on mental health, and there was a lot of marriage counseling, and I saw people come and go, and they had success after success or not, and it was hit or miss depending on counselors, and we saw counselors that were really good and stayed full, and some that were just complete garbage. And so you got to find the right counselor that the two of you can connect with.
Yeah. I've said this before, but going through 7 weeks in the NICU, if this had happened like last year, it would be very, very rough. But because we went through some work last year and had this happen this year, like we were both like super strong, like as like partners together, and like me being at home here with my mother-in-law and my son, and my wife being at the hospital pretty much all the time with our daughter, and then in the Ronald McDonald house and dealing with all the craziness over there. Like, it wore us both out. And like the probably 5 or 7 days before we got like released, like, because there was still like there was always light at the end of the tunnel, just didn't know when you were gonna get out. I like sat on the couch thing that they have in like the NICU room, and I'm like just like crying because I'm just like, our house is not a home without you there. Like, I just want you both home, and it's not the same when your other half isn't there.
What if you have the freedom to talk about it? What were the kinds of conflicts that came up? If you don't have the freedom to talk about it, we'll move on. But it's curious about what that situation pressed you into.
Basically, I wasn't really listening. Like, I was surface level listening, and I wasn't really like asking like questions to fully understand what it was she was dealing with. So like, I'll give you an example, right? So like her first pregnancy, she'd be like, I'm worried I haven't felt the baby kick. And I'd be like, it's probably fine. Like, just don't worry about it. But she'd like, this would happen over and over and over again, to the point in which she's just like, stop sharing. She just stopped sharing her worries, because I would just tell her, don't worry about it. Like, it's fine. Now,
because you're a guy and you wouldn't worry about it.
Right. But it was a concern of hers, and she was sharing that with me, and I wasn't like being empathetic about it. So she's like, if you're worried about something and you want to tell somebody and they're just like, yeah, don't worry about it. Like, well, that's not helpful. And so going through like fixing that this time around, I'm kind of like, I'm more like listening. She's like, okay, I haven't felt a baby kick. I'm like, like, how long has it been? Since you like felt the baby kick, have you tried laying on your side? Like, do we need to go? Like, because we hit our deductible at like in the second month or whatever. So like basically all the visits are free after that. Like, do we need to go get it checked out? Do we need to go get like an ultrasound or whatever? And she's like, maybe, I don't know. And we did go probably 2 or 3 times, like late at night. Or she did. I can't remember. She probably went once or twice by herself, and then we all went one time or something like that. I don't remember. But like, just to like, share that worry in a sense. And to be totally fair, so like, let's say a lot of people have this similar anxiety of like, somebody, like, you text like your friend or your wife or whoever, and they normally text you back. If you text them and like a couple hours go by, 12 hours go by, a whole day goes by, and they don't text you back, like, something's weird, something's wrong. I'm worried. So it's, for her, it's kind of the same thing. She's like, they normally, like, the baby's normally kicking, that kind of thing. It's weird. I'm like, okay, yes, like, I can understand that part. Yes. And so you just have to see people's worries and concerns through their eyes and not yours. Like, so, especially when it's your wife.
Yeah.
That's a challenge.
I have heard of that. Now that you're talking about it, it's familiar, but I don't remember how you approach that. I don't remember how you come into the empathetic listening. I think it's something like, I hear you saying blah blah.
Yes.
Do you mean blah blah? Is that how it's approached?
That is pretty much it. Yep.
Yeah.
I was gonna do a TikTok about it, and I even did like I had like a whole thing, and it just like didn't flow right, and so I never like published it. I'll probably redo it and do like a whole like a 60-second, 2-minute thing on like how to be an empathetic listener, essentially.
Yeah. I'd watch that.
It takes a lot of practice, because it is not how people communicate. Like, normally you speak, somebody's like kind of listening and then makes a response. This is all basically one person talking and a person more or less repeating word for word what they said. Like, so it clicks.
Or thought for thought, not necessarily word for word.
Word for word, because I tried to do like to prove that I was listening. I was like just wording it a little bit different. So I'd go like, instead of just like, in and out, I was like, I'd let it roll around in my head and like kind of say it just in a different way. And she's like, it seems like you're trying to like summarize what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, sorry. I'll just take it in and repeat it back. So it's weird. It's a weird skill.
It's a weird skill. Yeah,
and it's a weird way to talk, but it works.
I think I have tried it. I think I have tried it once or twice and just didn't stick with it. But I mean, it seems like it would be a good tool.
I got some questions for you guys. So Jeremy, when we had our interview and you got into your TikTok like exploded, and then you didn't tell your wife about it right away or whatever, and so since she found out about it, so what was her initial response?
Her initial response. Let's see. I'm trying to remember the exact moment that I told her. I think we were pulling up at some friend's house in the car, so it was like not a good moment to tell her, but she's like, well, what are you hiding from me? I'm like, nothing. Why didn't you tell me about it? Because you would have looked at me and said, oh, here we go with another idea of Jeremy's. Because I'm an idea person. I mean, I love to try something new, and if I like it, then I keep doing it. If I don't, then I don't.
Yep.
And the whole TikTok thing turned into something that I started liking. And I was like, well, let me see if I can grow this following. Let me see if I can, there comes a point where something consumes enough of your time that you need to figure out a way to monetize it.
Absolutely. And
so I tried to see about monetize. I mean, we're not like making it rich and going to retire or anything like that, but like it supplements our income a little bit. And so I tried that. I tried to monetize it, and at the point that I was able to monetize it and show some decent income from the efforts that I've put in, I said, hey, by the way, here's what I've done. She goes, well, why are you just not telling me? I said, because if I had told you beforehand, you would have said, here we go again. But now that I can show you proof of concept, you've now bought in.
Okay.
But for us, that is the way, and that is a way for us to communicate, to handle that. And I don't necessarily recommend that for everyone else, but based on our relationship, I knew, I mean, if I had told her what I was doing to begin with, I mean, I'd have still done it, and she'd have just rolled her eyes at me. And
sure.
And then I would have said, well, hey, you remember this thing? Well, it's turned into this, and it would have been fine that way too. But for even I think it was even more for me, because you think, I don't want to try this. I don't want to say that I'm doing this. I don't want to say that I'm investing my time into making TikToks, and then it fail, and then I have to say, oh, well, that failed. Here's another thing that I failed at. There's part of, I think that's also a part of it as well. Fear of failure. And having to show or tell someone that, yeah, that didn't work out. I didn't make it at that. I still may fail at it, but I mean, it's at least at this point, it's not as much of an utter failure.
Sure. And so what's her level of, I'm just curious, what's her level of support for the,
yeah.
Does she film you doing stuff like, hey, I need you to hold the camera or whatever?
So the that water filter test that we did.
Yep.
And that was a company that just said, hey, I love your TikTok. We have some water filters. If I send you a couple water filters, would you be interested in trying them? And then if you sell any, then you get a commission on sales. And sure, I'll try it.
Dang.
And Brock wanted to try it. Brock's my son. And my wife wanted to try. She was like, well, I'll be in it too. And so, but she doesn't want to be on camera. That's not her personality. She doesn't want to be on camera. She doesn't mind being in it in the background. And I think there's actually and this is just my assumption on this. I could be completely wrong, but I think there's also a point that she's like, well, no, I do want to be in the background because I want people to know that, hey, you have a wife and you're married. And so she wants to be part of it in a sense. As far as recording, she's held the camera a couple of times. I've got a tripod, and I usually try to do things, in my free time. Like, I work from home, so I'll shoot stuff during lunch or take my son to the bus in the morning, and I'll shoot something before work or something like that. But she's her buy-in is she's fully bought into it, and she understands
Awesome,
that it's a viable way forward. Something that, whether it turns into, you've got some TikTok creators that are, millions of followers, which if I ever get to that point, I'll be blown away. But that's their livelihood. And if it ever gets to that point, then sure, absolutely, I'm happy to go down that road. But for now, it's a hobby and a little bit of a supplemental income, and she's definitely on board with it.
Cool.
And it sounds like she's been looking for something to support you in, and now that you've got your teeth into it and you're starting to get traction, she knows that you're not going to just jump away from it, and she can then be with you in that.
Maybe,
yeah.
It's a good observation.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher, what about you and Secure Coop and Secure Farm? Like, I mean, you've invested a lot of money in this thing, so like
I have.
And how long you've been working on it for quite a while, and so
I have.
So no, I'm not, like it's a complicated thing. It's just how it goes.
It is. It is, and I hit so many barriers and so many roadblocks and so many walls.
So when you started, what was that like for you and your wife?
Yeah, well, I was bouncing so many ideas about the way I wanted to do it, and then if I could do that, then I might be able to do this other thing later on. And she got overwhelmed. She said, "Okay, that's a lot of ideas. You're throwing a lot at me." She got overwhelmed, but she has never resisted it or said, "Why is it taking you so long?" or anything like that. She's I would love more support from her on that, but I'm not getting resistance, and she'll ask me about it every now and then, which is always wonderful to hear, to be able to talk about it, because this week I'm doing the monitoring, and this week I'm doing this and that, so I really like that she has not fought me about it, and she's not resisted about it, and the time and the money, it's comes over time and just little by little. So it hasn't taken away from other things, and I've tried to never allow it to take away from family or other things. It's one reason it's taken a lot longer than it should, because
Sure.
Family's important.
Yeah.
So we've been pretty much on the same page, and she has seen me go from several different ideas, but I tend to really work at an idea, before I give up on it. And I think she sees that. She sees I'm not going to just bounce into something and bounce out.
So, and I came in a few minutes late, and maybe I'm new to this anyway, but so tell me, what is Secure Coop?
Yeah, Secure Coop basically is a chicken coop door opener with phone notifications. So you get an app that tells you what the status of your coop is, tells you if there's any issues. And I work in a Fortune 50 financial company in the IT department, so I've learned a lot about how to do reliable transactions and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I took those principles and concepts and applied them to the chicken coop, so that it'll be super reliable notifications. You will know, and I've got such confidence that I can deliver a quality monitoring and notifications like that I got to guarantee that if the person has an issue that I don't notify them about and they lose their whole flock, I'll replace the whole flock up to 20 birds. So I feel like I feel like I can put a real good degree of guarantee. Yeah. So I've approached it like like I would with our multi-billion-dollar servers, and just bulletproof reliability.
Mm-hmm.
After the coop door opener, I realized I've got a core that I can build on. I can add, monitoring your electric fence. I can add monitoring your water temperature. If you've got aquaponics, if you're doing a pond, things that require, motion sensors for predators, things that pull you away from farm activities and make life harder because you're trying to go in so many directions. It's like a force multiplier. It's a way to multiply your efforts in time.
Like
So,
putting a deer feeder in your chicken coop so that you don't have to feed your chickens every day.
that kind of thing.
That's how Matt and I found each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how Matt found me.
All right.
I'm on TikTok page.
Okay.
By the way,
so put a deer feeder. That's
just a
clever.
point about the deer feeder. I showed that to my wife, and she's like, "Why don't we have that?" And and so we're gonna be going on vacation here shortly, and coming back from vacation, my mother-in-law is gonna like stay at our house while we go on vacation again with my parents, and she doesn't want to do like the chores, the chicken chores or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Even the I've hired the neighbor girl before to do the chores, and she's like, "I'll buy the deer feeder if you set it up." So we're gonna be.
For less than $100. I mean,
yeah.
So, Christopher, have you taken that to market already?
I am still in development.
Okay.
It's been. It seems I only knew about like 1/10 of everything I need to know to make this happen. I mean, it's been incredible the number of roadblocks, but we're getting there. The app is mostly is where the hitch is, and it's mostly there. It's like mostly functional. It's not enough to put in someone's hands, but I feel like I'm months away from it.
So I built for my chicken coop, I built an automatic door using an Arduino.
Yeah.
And I know enough to break it. And it took entirely too much time. And there's I can't remember which brand it is. I was trying to look it up real quick. There's a couple of those out there already that exist, the automatic chicken doors, but they're unreliable. I read some reviews and they're unreliable, and I'm like, well, why would I spend $200-$300 on this?
Yeah, exactly. I had the same thought, and I'm thinking to myself,
put up an electric fence.
Oh yeah, there you go. And so I'm just thinking to myself, I could build something that would be reliable, and then I had the next thought was, and then I should sell it.
Right.
So yeah, hit me up, and with issues that you're having with yours, I found about 50 ways not to open a coop door. So I could tell you all kinds of ways not to do it and mistakes and things like that. So if you're having problems with it, just hit me up.
Yeah. So is your wife involved in it, in the building of it or anything, or is it?
No, at this point it's only me because it's all in my intellectual head, and my notes, and I would love more help, but I can't. I got one guy in Germany who is working on the app because I got it most like 80% done, and things weren't still right, and I had brought him in. So I will get her involved, especially the kids. I've got 3 teenagers now, and they'll be able to join me in soldering and cutting wires and putting stuffing in the boxes. So it can be a family thing, and I think she will too.
That's what I was going to say. Is anytime you can bring them in to help is huge. And so I mentioned the T-shirt company, which, by the way, this T-shirt company is probably going to be going by the wayside because people aren't buying T-shirts these days.
Well, damn it!
Like it is. I know, man. I know. Look, they may buy. I got the bug shirts. They may buy those. I have no idea. But we launched our T-shirt company last year, Pure Bama Apparel, and there's a long story behind how we got there that I won't necessarily go into. But it was something that was a dream that I had, and I told my wife about it. Wanted to do this, and she was on board. And so on Saturdays we go out we have a local farmers market. We garden, but we don't have enough excess to sell at a farmers market, but we have a great local farmers market. And so I know the guy, and I said, well, hey, can we come sell T-shirts down there? Like, it's a local company. We're based in the city. He goes, well, we need stuff that's handmade. I said, well, I design them and have them printed here. Is that close enough? He said, good enough for me. So we sell T-shirts down there. But we all, me, my wife, and son, we get on there on Saturday mornings and we peddle T-shirts. And but it's a family thing. Like, so anytime that, and my son, he wants to, he's like, well, hey, can I make some money? And I'm like, if you sell T-shirts, if you stand up and you talk to people and you take their orders and bag up the shirt and absolutely, I will happily pay you. And so it's become a family thing. So which I think is
Nice.
all that to say is that it's huge. I think anytime that you can bring them in.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And but the flip side of that is I've heard you want to avoid treating the spouse as an unpaid employee. They are your partner in life, and they are not. Perhaps their role in the business is subservient in that it's like not the head, and you're not making all the decisions. But at the same time, she's more than an unpaid employee. She is
An
a
equal.
person.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's
is an equal.
yeah.
Yeah. And you can bounce ideas off of her, and if you can listen, say, hun, I'm getting overworked here, and I'm gonna take a break. Yeah.
I thought that was a dog growl at first.
No, it's a motorcycle driving by.
Through a cornfield?
We're on a street, and there's a cornfield back that way. But
there was a second there that I thought that was a dog about to rip your leg off.
Oh, he's coming back.
A loud motorcycle. So.
Oh man.
Yep. So
yeah, but equal partners that you can bounce ideas off of, and sharing the profits of the business. Yeah.
Share the profits of the business. Just don't take them for granted. You can't take them for granted. They are the most valuable person in your life. So
invaluable.
Yep.
Yeah. What's funny is when I'm trying to build up this, right? And she's like, it took her some convincing, and it was like a whole evolution of things. Like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And she's like, asking me questions, which is legitimate. Like,
Sure.
Hey, it's probably not going to work out how you think it's going to work out. These are my reservations.
And that always gets me. That always bugs me. And I know that I'm wrong in it, but I can't help it. I still just quit asking me questions. I know what I'm doing.
But
I don't.
I agree. Like, just don't ask me questions. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? I actually needed to hear all those questions because those are all legitimate things that
I won't admit it to you.
Yep. So it's been this whole evolution, evolving into what it's becoming because of those questions. And hey, what if we did it like this? What about this? What about this? Oh, okay. Yep. Do that. And so she'd when she was still pregnant and still with the two kids now, she's like, I'll grow the babies, you grow the thing. And so she's like, and so we obviously we're together on, feeding the kids, changing diapers, taking them to the park, blah, blah, blah. And then, I get her input on the design. She's like, nah, that's, it's not really that doesn't look great. It's missing this or lacks this or whatever. And so it's just a cooperative deal. And obviously once we become this is the thing we do, that's only gonna get deeper. Having each other in whatever it is we're doing going forward. So her support's been pretty awesome, and honestly couldn't do it without her. Because if she's just not if she's not on board, well, then I'm gonna be kidnapping her and the kids in a travel trailer and hitting the road, traveling across the country.
Sounds like a terrible idea.
Wow. Yeah.
You don't want to kidnap them. Nope.
Yeah, and my wife has said that she knows that she can tell that I'm happiest when I'm working on this. Even when it's at its most frustrating, it is an excellent outlet for me to work on this stuff. And it's just, I'm really enjoying it. I'm growing and learning a lot. And she's eager for me to be able to quit my job so I can do that full time. Yeah. She's very supportive.
Dang.
Yep.
That's awesome. That level of support.
I have to bring the receipts though. I can't just hey, we're going to quit.
Right.
I have to be able to show steady income, but I think it'll happen.
Nice.
Yeah.
My wife's just encouraging me to quit to go make more money somewhere else before we leave. So
yeah.
Is there anything you guys wanted to touch on or wrap up on before we plug our stuff?
I would just say to grab that book by Henry Cloud, Boundaries in Marriage, because it's eye-opening.
Sure. Yeah.
Very nice.
Are you going to provide are you going to send me a link? Because I'm not.
I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link.
Cool. I'll put that in the show notes.
All right.
And all right, Christopher, go ahead.
Yeah. So the website is securecoop.com. You can get there's an ebook there about 40 ways to protect your coop, and there
you have to confirm the email in order to get.
You have to confirm the email. I'm going to. I just read an audio or listening to an audiobook. They said, don't do a tie-in for an email. I'm going to just make it where you can download the audiobook. Or the download
okay,
book.
Cool.
Yeah.
All
so,
right.
but for today, you have to confirm the email, get on the mailing list. Anyway, get the coupon FarmHopLife Rocks, and if you are a member of Jack Spirko's Member Support Brigade, you can combine that coupon.
MSB.
Yep, MSB. And if you get on the mailing list, you'll get an early bird coupon, so you can put 3 in 1. I'm running deals.
Running deals, building that up before the launch.
Yep.
Nice, awesome.
Matt and I made the connection the other day that we both listened to the Survival Podcast for many, many years. And that's I think kind of how we both ended up getting into where we are now. Is that right?
Yep. Prepping, gardening, permaculture.
Yep. Ah, nice.
Yeah, that was what it was. Permaculture. That was what opened my eyes to permaculture.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
I had heard. I had been prepping permaculture and gardening before Jack, but it was very early on. It was like 2009, 2010. And I started listening to him. Man, this guy, he's talking in interesting and good ways that are like different than a lot of other people. And so I just kept on listening. Yep.
I listened to him almost daily on my drive to work.
Excellent.
Awesome. Jeremy, go ahead.
You got my Pure Bama apparel up there too. Look at you now.
I hope I heard that.
No,
right.
That's fine.
Cool.
That's fine. Yeah, but if you don't live in Alabama or don't have ties to Alabama, it may not be of any appeal to you.
I'll wear it ironically because I've never been.
For what?
I'll wear it ironically because I've never been to Alabama.
Nice. On TikTok and Instagram at DeweyLikeDonuts, I've got a prepping and homesteading gardening channel. And then, we've got a t-shirt company that, we started last year that if you want 20% off that, you can go through the link in the bio on my TikTok channel at DeweyLikeDonuts and get 20% off that way.
Nice. Is
Pure
there
Bama.
a website with that or no?
PureBama.com.
PureBama.com. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'll change that for next time.
No, you're good. I appreciate that.
So, yeah, no problem, man. And,
hey Matt, what coupon did I put on your? I know we keep saying the coupon, but I don't remember what the amount was. I
thought it was like 10 or 20 or something.
Like 50% off, something like that.
It was like 100. It was actually 120. You paid them.
Yeah. If you stack enough coupons, I'll owe you money.
I am Matt DeRocher of a FarmHopLife Traveling Homestead Family. You can support the 20 by 23 project where we are going to help out 20 homesteads in the year 2023 by buying one of these shirts. This is this week's shirt. I got bit by the bug and went crazy. I think it's mirrored, so it's going to look weird, but I promise you when you buy the shirt, it's not mirrored. So it's printed normal and you can read it. So that's at farmhoplife.com/shop. And I don't know what we're talking about next week because I'm not sure I'm going to be available, but we'll figure it out. And last thing before we sign off, I just want to note you two over other way here, you two live in southern states, but I am more tan than you. I am so much further north. We got
Ginger,
over
man. Ginger. we don't tan.
I have an ugly white light in my face because it's this place where I'm sitting is dark and this is the only available light. And I look terrible in this light, so that's what we're going to go with.
That or maybe Matt, maybe you're outside more than we are.
You probably are.
Yeah.
You guys should just get outside more. Just do your work outside. I don't know what your problem is. All right. Thanks for being here, you guys. I appreciate it.
Always enjoy it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Enjoyed it. Yep. Thanks for the invite.
Thank you. Yeah, no problem. See ya.